Welcome to this Windows and Computers channel. Today we're going to try to explain in a very down-to-earth way what is GDPR. So everybody's been online and looking at online things and using online services have noticed that there are maybe you were asked for, to abide by new regulations or rules. Do you agree? Or, you might be seeing GDPR everywhere and wondering, what is that? Everybody's talking about GDPR. So here's the thing. GDPR is a new set of regulations. GDPR means General Data Protection Regulation. It's a new set of regulation for the European Union, but it has an impact around the world. You might think, oh, well, it's a European thing. No, it has an impact everywhere, including here in North America. It started off in January 2012 when the European Commission basically started looking at how, the laws and regulations were made. And they kind of understood that in the digital economy and the way that now we are using the internet, there was a new set of rules that needed to be done because we weren't protected. Users were not protected against, scams, and it was way too complicated to understand so many things. Those big gibberish texts that basically tell you a million things and nobody reads them because, first of all, a lot of people don't even understand them. It's this new GDPR regulation is there to try to simplify all of that. So it will come in effect this Friday, okay, May the 25th. This is when GDPR is officially in effect. Now, we know that a lot of companies are still not, understanding what exactly this is and are kind of struggling to understand what they can do and how this is going to affect their businesses. A lot of big companies have already, done things, Apple, Microsoft, Google. As a YouTuber, I've received several emails. I've had to actually agree to new sets of rules that were actually sent to me. And all of that is because of the GDPR. So I'm Canadian, but you see that it has an impact here on my accounts and the things that I do. So that's why the GDPR is actually pretty much affecting the whole world. And I personally think GDPR is a good thing. If it's enforced correctly, I think it is a good thing. What does it mean for you, the user? Well, GDPR is there to actually give you more control over your personal data. So companies have to abide to rules that explain to you what general data they're collecting. Companies will have to give you a way of getting that data and seeing what they pretty much know about you. What are they keeping? Also, the GDPR has a set of rules that actually explain how to save the data in a more strict environment, meaning the chances for a data breach will be lower. This is one of the key aspects of this new regulation. There are a lot of data breaches in the past few years. We hear all the time that companies, data were stolen, passwords, and so on. Well, the GDPR wants companies to save their data in a different way so that it's probably not going to be impossible to get the data, but it's be more difficult. This is a really good thing. It applies to every company that actually has business in the European Union. So, big companies like Microsoft and Google and Apple and Amazon and all of these companies do have business there. They have to abide by these laws. And that's nice because they're not making, a different law for Europe and a different law for the rest of the world. Most of these companies have decided, we're going to abide by the GDPR rules and apply them everywhere. So that means even here in North America, we'll have a much better way of understanding and kind of protection from, bad use of data a little bit like what happened to Facebook. So the types of data also considered personal, name, address, photos, all of that will have to, be really protected, and you'll have to, let people know what actually you're keeping. So, this has a big implication. It gives you a little more control over what's happening. Companies, for example, that are actually contacting you or asking you for services will have to now actually be more careful in the way that they actually send you these emails. Before you had gibberish and you had a yes or no, do you abide by the rules? Now it has to be clearer before you can actually give your consent about things like that. Obligation, and this is another interesting part. A lot of data breaches happened and we learned much later. Well, this can't happen under GDPR. If there's a data breach, you have 72 hours to actually let the world know there was a data breach. If you don't abide by that, you'll get really huge fines, and the European Union is known to really give amazing fines. You could see the billion-dollar fines against US companies. Of course, there will be a data protection officer. You'll be able to, if you want, complain about a company that might not abide by the rules, or ask questions about, what is going to happen. So, simply put, it's a good thing for everybody, I think. And it's going to start this Friday. So you might see changes to some services you're using. You might have on some services to kind of accept, they're going to kind of tell you, well, we got these regulations here for what we do with your data and everything. This is how we're, planning to use it, and this is how, and this is what we know about you. Do you still agree to continue using our services? It's a step forward, and I think it's a good step. There's a lot of things that, you're like, well, I'm not sure that's a good idea, but I personally think GDPR is actually a very good idea. And it's a good idea because it's actually affecting everybody, including us here in North America. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, let us know. Thank you for watching.